This is a Skinny Gardener Dachshund.
Stihl, manufacturer of cordless garden tools, proudly sponsors the Skinny Jean Gardener.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Skinny Jean Gardener podcast. Look, if you don't already know from my social medias, my friends' social medias, everyone's talking about this festival. Not everyone, but so if you've either not heard about the festival, please carry on listening. If you have heard about the festival and are absolutely sick of the teeth to it, don't continue listening to this podcast and skip to next week's or back to last week's. It was Adam Frost. If you missed last week, it was Adam Frost last week. That's not a bad one to listen back to. Or the other 70 podcasts that you could... But if you haven't heard about the festival and want to hear more about it and snippets from some of the awesome guests, then continue listening to this podcast gold. Welcome to the Skinny Jean Gardener podcast. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener, it's the Skinny Jean Gardener, it's the Skinny Jean Gardener podcast. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener, it's the Skinny Jean Gardener, it's the Skinny Jean Gardener podcast. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener, it's the Skinny Jean Gardener, it's the Skinny Jean Gardener podcast. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener, it's the Skinny Jean Gardener, it's the Skinny Jean Gardener podcast. Talking about gardening, talking about people, and talking about what you should do. Talking about life, talking about soil, and having a laugh too. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener, it's the Skinny Hello everyone, Jean Gardener, welcome to the Skinny Jean Gardener podcast. What is going on? How are we all doing? I am Lee Connolly, aka the Skinny Jean Gardener. Big thank you for listening. Big thank you to the sponsors. I'm leaving it in. The big thank you. I'm still calm, still slipping up. Big thank you to the lovely sponsors still for sponsoring this podcast. Guess what, guys? In between the rain, yes, that's right. The wet stuff. We've had it. In between the rain, I actually cut my lawn with, wait for it, my Stihl. I forgot what it was called for a second there. My Stihl. Look, what is going on? What a beginning. We're only a couple of minutes in. My Stihl battery-powered lawnmower makes it all easier on a day in between the rain. That's right, I actually cut my grass, guys. I actually cut my grass. And guess what? It's looking green. That's right. It's actually looking green. So big thank you to them for supplying me with the greatest tool known to man in the garden industry. Thank you very much for you guys for listening. Thank you very much for last week's podcast, guys. Thank you very much for listening to that. Actually got in some sort of charts again. Not that I check the charts that often, actually, so we might be in there all the time. Not that even the iTunes charts are the biggest way people listen to this podcast. But we got into number 26, guys. High fives. Well done. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of it. You guys are awesome. Actually, I've just done a bonus podcast. So you guys that got the bonus podcast on board, go listen to that. It's the real story about the festival and what's going on. But if you don't know about the festival, it's all about it on here. It's a festival special this week, guys. It's a special festival special. If this is the first time you've listened to this podcast, throughout this podcast, you're going to hear snippets of some of the people that are going to be at Skinny Jean Gardener Podcast Live happening this Sunday, the 19th of August. Now, this is 2018. Maybe you'll listen to this in the future. Maybe you'll listen to this while you're riding to work on your hoverboard. It's 2018 when this has been recorded, guys. So you've missed the festival this year. But maybe it is 2032 and I'm still recording the podcast in this little office in my garage. If that is the case, something's gone terribly wrong. But at least we've got them hoverboards, right? This is Tangent Central today. Tangent Central. The Skinny Jean Gardener podcast live is happening this Sunday. If you're listening to this live, I'm really excited about it. Really excited. We've got some awesome people, some of which we're going to highlight in this show. Plus, I'm going to give you little things that are going to happen during the festival. I'm really excited about. Really excited about. But before we continue, I should mention that it is on Sunday now. We have had a change. Like I say, head to the bonus podcast. The full story's over there. We haven't had a change. It's going to be on Sunday. It's 10 till 4. And it's now at the beautiful and honestly, right, anyone, right? In a second, we're going to have a couple of seconds of peace or silence because you're going to go and search this venue out, right? They've not asked me to do this, but I really think you need to see it. It's called the Minories in Colchester. It's also the Tiptree Tea Rooms, right? They've also got Tiptree Tea Rooms there, right? Let's have a little silence, guys. Go away. Right now, just not if you're driving, obviously. Just have a little search on your phone. Just search it. Little drink there for me. You back? Incredible, right? Absolute incredible. And now for the next 10 minutes, we're going to talk about those pictures that you've... Well, you didn't go and look. I'm only joking. We're not really going to talk about it. But it's an incredible venue. So thank you very much to them for providing that. And at that incredible venue, on stage, is going to be Mr. Matt Biggs. That's right. Gardener's Question Time, Mr. Matt Biggs. He's been on the podcast. He's an absolute legend. He's been with me. I always... Biggsy! 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 I don't know if he ever likes me calling him that. He's never really mentioned it. Biggsy! Absolute legend. He's been there, right? For me and my brother. From the beginning. When we first started Skinny Jean Gardeners, he was there on the end of the phone, giving advice. He's one of the nicest people. I'm going to put it here. He is the nicest. Not one of. He is the nicest person in the garden industry. There you go. I've said it. He won't like me bigging him up like this. Biggsy, anyone? No? Okay. But he's a very modest guy. He's a very modest guy, right? But gotta give it to him. He's coming on Sunday. It's his wife's birthday and all. He's gonna be there. Don't worry. He's gonna be there for his wife in the evening. But he only comes to the festival. He had the change of day. He said, "Lee, I'm there for you." Legend. I chatted to Matt. If you've not listened to the full podcast with Matt, head back later on today or over the weekend or whenever you want. Well, he's a two-parter, old Biggsy. At the start of this year, he came down for one of my Skinny Jean Gardener lives that I did on Facebook, which I want to bring back, by the way, guys. He's coming back next year in a very special way if I've got anything to do with it. He come down and we sat down and we talked just before we come on stage or on live. Just really open about what he does. And this is my favourite part of that interview that we talked about. It's the Garden Chit Chat, the Garden Chit Chat. Final question is about writing books, because I know you write books, and then the other day one of my friends put a book up on Twitter. I can't remember what book it was now, but it's quite a new one, and it said by Matt Biggs, and I was like, I know him. I know Matt.
Yeah. I mean, the book writing came by chance. Well, the first book that I ever did was about veg growing.
Yeah.
And I got that because I had an agent at the time. I think there'd been a few crossed lines in communication, and this book, which should have been given to somebody else, hadn't gone to that somebody else, and they found it at the bottom of the pile, and they said, we've more or less said that we've just found this. And I was quite new to them then.
Right.
Would you be interested in writing it? So I'd never written a book before. I'd written some articles, but I wrote it, and I've calculated actually, because I'm just about to finish one and start another, and so I will have just finished my 13th and starting my 14th. And it's something that I used to think an essay of 500 words or 1,000 words was a lot, but it's a discipline.
Do you specialise in what you write about, or not really?
I find lots of things interesting, and I think that's why, you know, gardening is great, because, you know, I'm interested in heritage vegetables. I'm a bit of a flitter, a bit of a butterfly.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of things. If you said to me, Matt, what would you like to write about? I love writing about plants.
Yeah.
And I've recently got into, you know, the plant hunters, and their stories are amazing. In fact, I've just started, again, because I said yes to something, I've just started, I've got a one-man show called One Man Two Plant Hunters, which I've given at Malvern, where I dress up as one plant hunter for one show and tell their story in the first person,
Right.
and then dress up as another one
that's
to
different.
follow. Yeah, and did you know, I was asked to do it, again terrified, thinking, well, I don't know whether I can. And then I actually said to them, is this like for the love of the RHS, or will you pay me?
Yeah.
And they went, oh, we'll pay you. Well, fine, because
Yeah, I'll
I'm
be
freelance. You've got to. So, but it is amazing, and I would say this to anyone listening: if you can overcome your fear, and even if you are terrified, just do it,
Yeah.
and you'll be amazed what you can do, even though you're really fearful, really
Yeah, yeah.
frightened. Even if you're really frightened, and you only have to do it once. If it really doesn't work, and if it really is too terrifying, then you don't have to do it again. But don't ever deny yourself the opportunity,
No.
because I'm hoping to do it again when Gardener's Question Time go to Ireland in a big country house. So you can imagine being dressed up as a plant hunter, hopefully with some rhododendrons or plants cut from the garden,
Yep.
which this plant hunter brought in. And then I've just got myself registered to appear at the Chelsea Fringe.
Oh, cool.
And to do it at the Chelsea Fringe, hopefully at Chelsea Physic Garden.
Oh, nice.
So I'm trying to build myself up a little portfolio of sort of acting role. It's sort of like it's a performance talk. Or something like that.
You could be the new James Bond.
Oh yeah, I love that. That'd be fantastic.
He's acting.
Yeah.
Give me some way.
Yeah, well, come and see me in the West End, darling. Yeah, but it's great. I had elocution lessons when I was a child. You know, I went to speech and drama, and I love poetry and I love stories. But I hated the drama, and when I got to grade 5, I just said I don't want to do drama because I'm frightened of it. You know, to get on there and dressing up.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, now I'm doing
Oh,
it.
here we go.
It's really funny. I think it's hilarious because you're doing something that I don't really feel comfortable with, but I'm determined that if I reckon. It's like, you know, when you first put on your skinny jeans and you know, dress yourself up in character as
Oh yeah, definitely.
the skinny jean gardener, you're a bit
It's
frightened.
terrifying. Yeah.
It is
And now
frightening.
it's like, well, you can't get me. It's just like, yeah. My wife's not so happy about it anymore.
So when you sort of see me wandering around town in a tweed jacket with a stick on moustache and a beard, you know that it's
There he goes.
it's finally got me. Yeah. But it's fun, and you know, what's the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that could happen is that, you know, the audience don't like it. They throw rotten vegetables at you, and at least you'll be able to gather them up and, you know, cut out the rotten bits and take the rest home for a stew or something. But you know,
There's always a plus side.
there's always a plus. You know, get fed from it. But really, anything's worth a crack. It's
Yeah,
all worth a
definitely.
crack just to see what happens.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being on the podcast for me. And I know I have to cut you short, mate.
Well, thank you very
But you're on
much.
the show, on the
Yeah.
actual, I say TV, but I mean, it sounds better when it's said TV, but...
Let's
on
say
the
TV.
Facebook,
Let's call it
say
TV. It is TV.
You're on the show, so if you want to check out Matt Moore, then check him out on me. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Cheers, dude. Oh, I didn't press record. It's a garden chit chat. It's a garden chit chat. Could he? Could he be the next James Bond? Imagine that. Imagine. I'm going to do an impression now. If Matt's listening to this, I'm really sorry. Hey, mate. Shaken, not stirred. Thanks. He doesn't speak like that. That's the worst impression. Shaken. Hey, shake. Where's he from? Shaken, not stirred, mate. So, this is not an impression podcast. We should put some singing in somewhere. Oh, gosh. Yeah. But imagine if he was James. That'd be so cool. So many stories. I'd love to do another podcast with Matt one day. He's got so many stories, that guy. And maybe we'll have him back next year because he's so funny as well. He's so funny with it. Matt Biggs is going to be there. He's going to be talking about how to get young people into gardening. We're going to be doing a few things. Plus, we're doing a little cheeky Gardener's Question Time in the afternoon. So if you've got any garden questions, get them in. The worst thing I'm dreading is I sit up there on stage and say, anyone got any questions? No one puts their hand up. That'd be a bit awkward, wouldn't it? That'd be a bit awkward. But one person, brilliant segue here, guys. One person that will know the answer, as well as Matt, is Lucy Chamberlain. What this girl don't know ain't worth knowing. I met Lucy a few years ago at Gardeners World Live, and I think we might have had breakfast once together, and then we didn't see each other for another year. I saw her again, and then we didn't see each other for another year, and then I think I might have seen her before that, or might not have. I don't know. But anyway, I saw her it must have been last year when I was on my own. Billy No Mates. She took me under her wing. Really nice person. Turns out she only lives up. Well, she tells me every year, but she only lived up the road. Literally 5 minutes up the road from me. Couldn't believe it. Again, up there. I mean, I could say she is one of the nicest people. She is the nicest person. Again, she's not, honestly, not one bad bone in her body. And great hugs, by the way, guys. Great. Honestly, feeling a little bit down. I don't think she gives a Chamberlain hug to everyone, but Lucy Chamberlain hug. Helps you right out. And we sat down. I was lucky enough to go up to her house just up the road. We sat down, had a cup of tea, and I got to know a little bit more about Lucy, which was really nice. Really nice to know her background, how she got into it. And also, if you want a little bit of Lucy Chamberlain on the podcast, you've got 2 chances. 2 chances. There's the Lucy Chamberlain podcast, where this has come from. And also, after BBC Gardeners World Live this year, we had a podcast of Sol Walker and, I love that name, Sol Walker, and Lucy Chamberlain, talking about gardeners' questions as well. And the sort of questions they get at the shows. So it's really cool. So if you want to check out any of that, then do head back. But here's a little clip from me and Lucy. Here's a bit more chit chat for you. Here's a bit more chit chat for you. Chit chat, chit chat, chit chat, chit chat, chit chat, chit chat. How are you got into gardening as well?
Yeah, so I do. Do I need to say my name?
No, that's right.
You sure?
Yeah.
People know who
You
I
can say
am.
your name if you want, but I've already said it.
Yeah,
You
Lucy Chamberlain.
know. It's not like a police interview or nothing.
Where were you on the night of? So I'm at the minute head gardener at East Dolan Hall, which if I just move my head over there, I can see out of our lounge window, which is only about 2 miles away, which is great. So
you can check up on it.
yeah, exactly. I can see what's going on, and commuting doesn't take too much. I can leave the house. I've worked out. Leave the house 4 minutes before I need to get to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'll get there early.
That's perfect.
That's how it works. That's quite nice. Yeah, and so I'm into gardening because my folks were market gardeners. They're now retired, but they were both smallholders, and initially they had a place at Lawford, which is called the Land Settlement Agency, which is still there. And then my dad just decided he thought, I'll have a go on my own. So he moved to Crockerford, and we had 12 acres of glass and open fields and salads and all sorts. So from the year dot, I was involved in growing veg,
Right.
which was great. So that's why I've followed this route, because I absolutely love it. It sort of taps into all those lovely memories you have when you were a kid. And also, like eating homegrown veg and fruit is so nice and just so rewarding.
Yeah.
And so that's why I thought, I just want to do this myself. I was going to take over Mum and Dad's nursery, but it was at the time when the supermarkets were they were squeezing small growers like that, unless you specialised in one thing and just did that. And Mum and Dad didn't. They had lots of every different thing. They struggled a little bit, and they were like, we're not making any money. So I thought, well, I'll study horticulture. Went to Riddle College, did commercial horticulture there, And then I thought, I really like the science stuff and stuff things. So I then went on to do a degree at Y College in environmental biology, but it was all like the conservation and pollution and composting. We had a module on composting.
Awesome.
I know, exactly. That's all you can say to that, isn't it, really? It wasn't actually, honestly, quite interesting. So now I do look at a compost heap with a different pair of eyes.
Totally different.
I promise. So, so that's how that all came about. And then my first job was at Wisley Gardens,
Okay, yeah.
which was lovely. It was such a fantastic place to work. And it wasn't just the setting, which in itself is awesome. It was the people.
Right.
The people there, just lovely. Really nice. And I had such a nice time there. I was in the advisory department, but we then were allowed to go out into the garden and work and chat with the gardeners, go on all the demos and
Cool.
go to all the shows. Back in the day of when they had the Scotland show, we'd go to Chelsea, Hampton Court, year on year, and just answer the members' inquiries.
Yeah.
And that was lovely. And I was like a big sponge, just souping it all up, because you're asked, the same questions again and again and again. And now I've worked out it's stuck in my memory.
Yeah.
Whereas my memory, and I think you were saying the same thing. It's not that great when it comes to short-term stuff, but that really gave me a fantastic foundation. And while I was at Wisley, I did a bit of TV work, which was nice.
Cool.
A bit of Hampton Court, and appeared on a Gardener's World special with Monty Don for an hour at Harlow Car, which was nice. Yeah, just again answering people's questions. And I entered the Young Horticulturist of the Year.
Oh yeah.
But that, so that was, I entered it the last year I possibly could for my age, and came second.
Oh wow, that's
Out
cool.
of the whole country. Well, I wouldn't because I the world. It was the whole world, Lee. It was the whole world. Yeah, so that, that was, I say, a really lovely foundation. And then when I was at Wisley, I started helping put together the help and advice pages of the magazine.
Yeah.
And that got me into the writing side of things. And then a job came up. It's quite a difficult decision to leave Wisley because it's such a fantastic place. But I did want to try different things. And I sort of knew in my heart, again, I wasn't from Surrey, and I'm quite a sort of like, I like Essex, and I don't want to be near my folks and stuff. So I sort of thought, well, I'll do another job. So I went down to amateur gardening in Poole, Dorset, beautiful part of the world. Was there for 4 years as their gardening editor. But it was like basically what jobs you do in the garden this week. So lots of practical step-by-step stuff, and that was good fun.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So it was lovely people. Interesting working on the weekly magazine.
Yeah.
Deadlines, like there's so many deadlines you almost don't notice them.
Was it that one?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
does it
so
still go? That
yes.
just sounds like really bad of me.
No,
because
no.
I don't really...
I'm immediately.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, of course. I know that. No, but I don't buy it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's still going.
Yeah.
It's been going since 1800 and something or other.
Oh,
it's one of the
crikey.
longest running mags. I
Oh,
know,
my
it's
gosh.
crazy. No.
Well,
I'll
if
show-
they're listening, send me some, please.
Oh, yeah. Send him a couple
Send me
of
the whole
magazines.
back catalogue.
In a truck. So that was amateur gardening, and then my kind of like lovely, the final bit of the jigsaw puzzle came along. It was like grow your own magazine. So that's like essentially like a small holding magazine, growing veg, fruit, keeping chickens, bees. A job came up to be editor there, and that was based in Colchester. Wow, so you just think absolutely perfect for me. And yeah, it was really, it was, and it gave me a fantastic entry into understanding all the workings of the magazine. Amateur gardening gave me an understanding of that to a point, but with it being an editor, you've got to plan all the features to make sure that they're advertising friendly. There's all the commercial side of magazines that you don't really get to see until you're in that driving seat. You've got to make it work, and then obviously you've got to maintain the what's the word, like the sort of kudos and the clarity of it all without leaning too much into the advertising. You want to have authority and not look like you're biased, and so it's quite a juggling act, but loved it, really loved that as well. But then I wanted to get back into practical gardening, which is now what I'm doing more of.
Right. 3
days a week at head gardener at East London Hall, and then another job. We've been doing that this morning actually. This in Fingling where we are now, Church Green Trust is a place where people in the village can go and live out their twilight years right opposite the church. There's about, I think it's 6 little units there, and you go and see people. They have a cup of tea. We were just digging over this chap Peter, his veggie garden. He was getting a bit disheartened because he was finding it more hard work. So it was his birthday on Saturday. We dug over his vegetable garden for him this morning. And he was chuffed to pieces. And I presented him with this tray of like seed potatoes because he said to me, "Oh, I really like Ostecepta seed potatoes." I was like, right. I wrote it down on my phone when he wasn't looking, and then we presented him with the seed tray of potatoes this morning, and I think he was happy.
Oh,
I think he was quite pleased
my
about it.
30th birthday's coming up, by the way, so if
Yeah?
you want to come over to mine and do mine over for
Yeah,
my
oh, I thought
birthday.
you were going to ask for some seed potatoes.
No, you're better. It's a garden chit chat. It's a garden chit chat. The lovely Lucy there. She's going to be on stage as well, answering your questions and giving a little bit of that gardening knowledge to you on a Sunday afternoon. Now, as well as our talks on stage we're talking about here today on the podcast, we've also got the awesome people of Perrywood Garden Centre. They're going to be doing some, I think, terrarium workshops. Have I got that right? Terrarium workshops. And also some plant sales. That's really good. They are my local garden centre. Big up to them. They're always awesome. And always help me out with plants for different jobs and such. And they are very kind people. And very kind to be supporting the podcast live event on Sunday. 10 till 4. Also, lovely people with plastic. I won't put a little clip of that podcast. It's only just recently come out, that podcast. But if you want to head back, check out Replastic and Perrywood Garden Centre. I think there's a garden centre one from last year, if you want to head back to that one. All these people is absolute coincidence. They've already been on the podcast. But the world of gardening, when you meet a gardener, everyone's just so friendly, wants to help you out, like wants to be part of what you're up to, wants to support you. So all these people, really massive support. Replastic, they're going to be collecting. If you've got, you know, them plastic pots, I just cleared about 300 out of my potting shed. You've got plastic pots. Wash them up, right? Give them a clean. Bring them down to a festival. Because Replastic are going to use them. Hopefully their machine is going to be there to shred up these plastic things. And we're going to turn them into pots. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, guys. But they are going to be there. At least telling us what they can do with them. At least collecting them. At least making a bit of a workshop there for the day. So we've got loads of workshops, and I've got a few little kid workshops going on as well. So if you want to try and make some seed balls or anything like that, we're going to have a few little things going on for kids there as well. And that's what it's about. I really want to push. I'll be honest with you guys, I really want to push the kids bit a bit more next year. Because obviously our venue's changed, a bit more kid friendly. So kids can come to some holidays. So I promise you next year is going to be even better for kids. But they can also win loads of prizes as well. I'm going to be doing my show there as well. So there's lots going on. There's going to be lots of fun for the kids as too. Which is going to be great. So yeah. That leaves me. Do you know what I'll tell you what I was just sitting there thinking a second ago. This week on this podcast, it's just a festival special. We're just talking about the festival. Do you know who we should have had down for the festival? Mr. Ed Bird. We should have had him, guys. We should have had Mr. Ed Bird. I wonder if I can speak to Ed. I bet I can't get him now. I'm going to try him. At this time of recording, we've not got Ed Bird. If he comes, guys, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be incredible. I'll get on the blower. And I'll put it out on Twitter. It'll be the biggest news going. As well as potentially Ed Bird. I don't know if he'll come. It's too late, isn't it? It's too late to ask him. We've got Mr. Charlie Benton. Again, another guest that's been on the Facebook Lives. He was on one of the shows, one of the very first shows, Come to Colchester. He's back in Colchester. He's going to be on stage. He's going to be talking. We're going to be chatting about gardening, landscaping, gardens, getting involved, which is going to be awesome. It'll be a lot of fun. Mr. Charlie Benton. I'll tell you what, let's have a little clip from Charlie Benton's interview. There's a dog in it. You might be able to hear him ruffling around. And then we'll chat a bit more about him after this. It's the Garden Chit Chat. The Garden Chit Chat.
But we are like almost like brothers.
Is that what you're saying?
in the media world, aren't we?
Well, sort of. Well, we are now.
We are. And we will be. Do you know what I mean? We're going to work together over the next coming years and see where it takes
And
us.
I'm going to take on the Benton name and I'll be called Lee Benton.
Lee Benton. No,
I don't know what Sam would say about that.
we should be called Char and Lee.
Or Lee.
Lee and Char.
Lee.
Lee. Char Lee. Or Lee and Char. Or Lee and Char. I don't know, it should be I don't know, I think going together would be a good thing.
We'll work something out, mate.
We'd do it.
It'll definitely happen. Watch out for it.
Watch out. We're coming at ya. Move over. You know who you are.
These sort of interviews don't really have much of a theme, but I always started with, how did you get into gardening?
So here I am. How did I get into gardening? Well, how did I get to where I was? Good question. Well, I've been involved in gardening since I was a kid. I've been in the garden since I was in a nappy, running around in my wellies, picking up worms, newts.
Is it because your family used to be in?
Well,
family
yeah,
made you
my
garden?
family have been into gardening, but they've never owned a gardening business.
No.
So they've never owned a gardening business or a landscaping business. And then I decided that's what I wanted to do.
What did your family do then?
Well, my mum, she did work in a garden centre, so I suppose that helped. My granddad had an allotment that we spent a lot of time in as kids.
Right.
So we was always up there in the summer holidays. We was always going to the allotment, picking vegetables,
Yeah.
fruit, sweet peas, masses of sweet peas, taking them back home from my grandmother to put in vases to put on the dining table.
Yeah.
So that was always a bonus. Yeah, and then we was always picking the broad beans or runner beans. I remember masses of runner beans. Gooseberries, I didn't like them back then, but I like them now. Raspberries, he had massive amounts of raspberries, so I remember picking those in the summer holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when we was at home, we used to just play in the garden, build tree houses, racing carts out of pallets.
Those are the days.
Yeah, running around the park, lifting up rocks to find snakes and slow worms. So that was when we was kids, and then getting hold of a magnifying glass and seeing what burnt in the garden in the summer holidays. So it started off with your black recycled bin lids,
Yep.
burning our names into that, and then it moved on to ants. Then if we could get hold of a wasp, we could see if we could kill a wasp with a magnifying glass by
Sure.
burning it. It's
We
just,
don't recommend that though.
no, it's just what kids done. And then how did we progress from there? Mum said she wanted a few slabs laid to put a bench on, so we just dug a bit of soil, put a bit of sand down, threw a few slabs on it. I wouldn't do that now, but that's what we done then. And then we got involved with planting. I had my own strawberry patch in the garden. And then I was keen on growing hops at a young age.
Oh, yeah.
Because I just thought, well, they're traditionally grown in Kent countryside, and they were grown to grow beer, so I just brought a few hop plants. Well, actually, I dug them out of a hedgerow, but and then I brought them back home, and then I planted them, and
Are they hard to grow? Because other ones
they're easy.
start growing.
They're easy. And then you start learning about different hops, like
Yeah.
what they do, and different breeds, and golden bells and tassels and all this and that. But yeah, they're easy to grow, and I love them.
Do you brew your own as well, or not?
No, I don't now.
No.
I don't now, but I remember my dad going, "Oh yeah, we can grow some hops, and then we can make our own beer." And I thought, God, that's blinding. Why didn't I think of that? Because I was only 15.
Yeah.
So I didn't think about
that world had not come to you.
that world had not come back to me yet. Yeah, and then from there I worked for a couple of landscape firms. I remember working for a good friend of the family, and I started on weekends cutting grass, mowing, general garden maintenance for big houses. Then I went to college. Then I left college, and I started full-time landscaping when I was 16.
Right.
And then I was working for a company for a couple of years, and I left when I was 21 because things were getting a bit tricky and not how I wanted to roll. So at the age of 21 I went self-employed and decided to build up my own business, and from there it's been eventful.
So young to like get into
Do you think?
running your. Well, yeah, I would have never thought about it at the time.
No, it's something I
How's that
always
age?
wanted to do. Something I always wanted to do. I remember when I was at school and you had to write your end of year report, like when you was leaving school, what do you want to do? And I put in there, I want to run my own business, I want to own my own garden centre. My teacher was like, is that what you want to do? I was like, what? All because I don't want to work for Gucci or sell Ferraris. I want to own my own business and get mucky and dirty. She was like, well, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But I remember before I left school, my teacher's going to me, right, we'll see you in sixth form. And I said, no, you won't. They went, no, we will see you in sixth form. I was like, no, I'm not made for sixth form. I'm made for getting outdoors.
Yeah.
You can't pin me to a chair. So
many people that I have on the podcast say about their school days and how gardening was like a thing which
do you
was like frowned upon almost.
Yeah, I think it was, because I don't think gardening is a career that people look at and think, oh, that's a good career.
Yeah.
People think if you need a career in life, you become part of the services, NHS, police, you get a good pension, work for the fire service, provide a service for the community, becoming an accountant. People look at you and think, you're a gardener, and they kind of think,
But have you had like, it's not a proper job before?
oh, I've had that before. I mean, I remember my family saying to me, even though they were keen on gardening, you want to become a gardener? I was like, yeah, a landscaper. And they was like, why don't you join the police? I was like, no, I want to do landscaping.
Yeah.
And you do hear of people saying, it's not really a career, is it? It's not really a proper job, it's seasonal. Well, no, I'm not a fair weather gardener. I'm out there in mud, well, try not to be snow, but rain. We're out there in all weathers, blistering winds, sunshine. So yeah, I mean, it is a proper job. It is a proper job. Don't get me wrong. I think gardening is a proper job. Landscaping is a proper job. Everybody needs a new driveway. Everybody needs a new patio. And if you don't, you're wrong, because you do, and I'm gonna do it.
It's the garden chit chat. The garden chit chat. There's Mr. Charlie Bennett. If you want to hear that interview as well, head back a couple of months now. Charlie was on the podcast. Absolutely one of the nicest guys. When me and Dale first started out, the Benton brothers were our biggest competition. We were on the BBC, they were on ITV. And now, me and Charlie, both coming together. We're going to do some work together, hopefully in the future, do some few bits. But, really nice guy once again. Really nice guy. I love Charlie. Big up to him. He's going to be there as well, supporting Skinny Jean Garden, the podcast live. We're going to be recording throughout the festival. There's going to be cameras. They're going to be able to film it. There's going to be podcast recordings going on. I must test out. This is bonus podcast material I'm really talking about here. But I must check the speaker system. It's going to be a lot going on, and you guys won't miss it. You won't miss a beat. If you don't listen to it on the podcast, you can watch it literally. This is big, guys. You can watch the whole thing live on Sunday. If you can sit in your armchair at home, stream it through your TV, you can sit and watch the stage the whole day, 10 till 4 on Facebook. Go check out the Facebook page. Go give it a like. Go make sure that on Sunday, if you're not up to anything, obviously, but you can watch it back if you want, that you sit and watch at least a little bit of the day. It's going to be so much fun, and you ain't going to miss a beat of it. We are going to do recordings on it, and don't worry, the next few months won't just be me on the bonus podcast. I'm not doing it on the main podcast at the festival. We're going to slowly drip feed those podcasts out off from the festival. Maybe do Christmas specials and stuff like that. But if you want to check it out, you won't be able to miss it. You won't be able to miss it. So that's it, guys. That's it. Thank you for indulging me in this festival special. I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully next week I'll be able to tell you how amazing it was, how incredible it was, and then on the bonus podcast, tell you how it really was. If you're not part of the bonus podcast yet, then please do head over there. It's on the website if you want to find out the bonus podcast material. If over the weekend you get a chance, I want to share a little bit. If you come to the festival, take some photos, share them on Twitter, share how you're enjoying it. Maybe sitting at home on Facebook. Share that you're watching it. Share the feed. do what you can. It is a free festival, and it does mean a lot to me that you guys really support it. And yeah, thank you very much. I will be back next week with the usual podcast gold. Thank you very much. Much love. See you next week. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener podcast. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener podcast. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener podcast. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener podcast. Talking about gardening, talking about people, and talking about what you should do. Talking about life, talking about soil, and having a laugh too. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener. It's the Skinny Jean Gardener. It's the Skinny Jean.
Find out where you can buy Stihl cordless garden tools at stihlapproved-dealer.co.uk.
This is a Cindy Gaynor Gardener. Dotson.